I'm joined here tonight with Andrew Spud Taylor. He has an incredible story. He lost a lot of weight just by eating potatoes for one full year, and he got healthy in the process. I'm also planning to do a potato challenge for the month of June. He inspired me. As everybody knows my story, I had already lost a lot of weight and went whole food plant based, but I just think it's a almost sort of like a cleansing, and I just want to see what would happen for a month of just potatoes. Because I was so fascinated by your story. So
Yeah, yeah.
and I'd
Yeah.
like to,
Well,
if you could take us back to your journey, why you started. I know you're obese at the time, and what things were like before you started.
yeah, yeah. Well, back in 2016 was when I did this crazy thing. Well, it's actually not crazy, but it sounds crazy when you first hear about it. Where yeah, I ate only potatoes for the entire year of 2016. It came about because over my whole life, like many people, I had struggled with weight, and I had gained weight, lost weight, gained it again, and it was a yo-yo, typical yo-yo dieting
Yeah,
kind
me
of
too.
thing where I just lose weight and put it back on. So that had happened over a long period of time, and I realized that my problem was an addiction problem rather than a weight problem. The weight was a symptom of my addiction. So
Right.
realized that if I wanted to totally get things under control once and for all, then I needed to deal with the addiction side of things first and foremost. So uh, yeah, I realized that every other addiction basically, people recognize that the best way to deal with alcoholism is to stop drinking alcohol, for example.
Right.
Uh, and I decided that it made sense to me to get as close as possible to doing that with food. Obviously, you can't quit food entirely, but I worked out that I could quit everything except potatoes, and that would keep me physically healthy. And what I hoped was that that plan would deal with my addiction issues. So yeah, it worked out that way. I lost a lot of weight, and I no longer I have a totally changed relationship with food. So
One question I had is, what brought you to potatoes? What was it about them?
yeah, I did a lot of research. I have a science degree as a part of my formal education. It's not a nutrition science degree, but it does enable me to have a better understanding of how study design works, and how to interpret data, and all these sorts of basically it makes me better than your average person at reading and interpreting science. So I spent a lot of time doing that, reading and interpreting science on nutrition, and learning a lot about it. And yeah, potatoes just stack up better than any other food. They really have everything we need to keep us healthy, and that was just the logical choice. By the time I'd spent a couple of months really deep diving into nutrition science and trying to figure out if there was one food that could keep us healthy while we quit everything else, then yeah, potatoes was just the obvious choice.
Now you allowed certain spices, right, in potatoes. Is that how you did it? You
Yeah,
spiced
most
it
of
up.
what I yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, most of what I ate was just plain potatoes. But yeah, I did include some herbs and spices, and a little bit of sauce here and there, or hot sauce or something like that. And yeah, just I keep those things. Yeah, I kept those things to a bare minimum. Try to keep it as boring and monotonous as possible, so that it was as close as possible to this idea of quitting and abstaining from food. Yeah, that was the whole idea. Yeah.
How did you feel the first few days into it? Like, did you feel healthier, or did that take a while to kick in?
Oh, the first few days were hard. The first 2 weeks were, yeah, really like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It was not fun at all. And that period of adjustment where my body wasn't used to eating a good diet, it wasn't used to all the fiber, and yeah, it took me a few days of, maybe a week of like not feeling good at all before things started to clear up, and yeah, my body started working properly, and then I felt amazing.
Did the weight come off right away for you?
Yeah,
What,
yeah. It's different for everybody depending on your background, and what sort of diet you've been eating before. But for me, yeah, I started losing weight. I weighed myself once a week in the beginning, and later on, I weighed myself more often than that. But in the beginning, yeah, once a week, and I was very surprised at the end of the first week to weigh myself and see a significant weight loss. So yeah, it happened straight away.
yeah, it's a great feeling. I know how it
Although
is.
I think if I weighed myself during that week, I would have seen it go up in the beginning because
Yeah.
uh, my digestive system had big changes going on, and
Oh, I'm sure of it. Yeah.
had a lot of bloating, and yeah. So I think if I weighed myself, especially around day 3, day 4, I would have seen the weight piling on, but I didn't do that. So yeah, I was at that point. I'm sure I was losing fat, but gaining in other ways, and yeah, by the end of the week, though, I was down. So yeah.
Did you exercise during the process, or?
Not for the first month. I lost quite a lot of weight in the first month where with no exercise at all, and then yeah, by a month in, I just had a lot of energy, and I was bouncing off the walls.
Right.
I couldn't sit still. I was wandering around my house aimlessly, and it took me a few days to realize that I had a lot of energy and I needed to burn some of it off. So yeah, then I started exercising then, and for the rest of the year, I did exercise quite a lot. Um, but yeah, I don't think that really made much of a difference in my weight loss.
No, it
It
would
was
have
all
happened either way.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you also did strength training that first year? Because I know some people will be saying to me, I won't get enough protein, but I know that's not an issue. But I mean, were you doing any strength training at the time too?
I
Or
did. I did do a little bit of strength training just for a short period of time, just to see if I could do it, and yeah, it worked fine, and I got stronger and all of that. But in the end, it was really hard to find the time to get to the gym and do strength training and that. So yeah, I probably did it for 6 weeks or 2 months or something. I did do some heavy lifting, and it worked well. But in the end, I just enjoyed running and riding and things like that more. So that's what I stuck with for most of the year. Yeah.
right now, how was your life different from before you started the journey versus a year later? You must have
Oh,
thought about food differently.
how it's easier to ask how is it not different?
Yeah.
It's different in so many ways, and just better in so many ways. I honestly can't think of a negative effect of what I did. It changed my life in every way. Um, I know the biggest thing is that I no longer deal with. I was clinically depressed before I started and anxious, and yeah, that was really debilitating for a couple of years, and that's not an issue for me anymore. It's not
Right.
something I deal with on a daily basis like it was. So that's the biggest thing, and yeah, just my changed relationship with food is totally different. I'm not like, yeah, I'm not totally obsessed with food like I was
Yeah.
before. I can live my
Exactly.
life and think about other things. So
Right. Right.
yeah, that's just a couple of things, but yeah, it's positively impacted every aspect of
Oh,
my
I'm
life.
sure. I'm sure. Now, for me, when I was losing the weight, was big motivator for me was I wanted to get healthy, like lower my blood pressure, for example. Did you
Yeah.
have any issues like diabetes or hypertension that you know about, or
Not to the
curious?
point where I was like medicated or things like that, but yeah, I did. My blood pressure came down, my blood sugar readings came down. Um, yeah, I had lots of sort of health markers where if I kept going down the road I was on, then that was going to
Yep.
become major problems. But I was lucky that really the only major problem I had was that I was hugely overweight, and the other problems that come with that hadn't quite caught up to me yet. So,
Right.
uh, but yeah, it was obvious from my blood tests that I was not healthy, but I was not yet to the point where it was a major concern. So I was lucky with that. But yeah, I did see major changes in my cholesterol, for example, dropped significantly. Like my
You mind if I
cholesterol,
ask what it
I
was?
think
Or?
in the beginning it was like my cholesterol was maybe mid to high 200s,
Mhm.
and pretty quickly it got down below 150, and I think it ended up around 110. So
Oh, it's even better than mine.
yeah, so that was, yeah, I wasn't needing cholesterol lowering drugs, for example, but I wasn't far off it. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's one example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I thought mine was good at 136 or 110. That's
Um,
excellent.
I think yeah, Dr. Esselstyn says if you're below 150, you're good. So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Hard
don't
to.
worry about it.
Yeah. So a lot of people would think the food is boring, but that was probably the point the first year. It's, as you're trying to get rid of addiction. But did that bother you that it's the same food every day? Or?
Yeah, well, I have a saying now that I developed during that year that's make your food boring and your life interesting. So, yeah, I think for many of us, myself included before, we rely on food for comfort, enjoyment, emotional support. And we celebrate with food, we commiserate with food. It's ubiquitous throughout our life that we just rely on food for so much. And that was a big problem for me, and it is a big problem for lots of people. That yeah, we need to develop a different relationship with food where it's not something we rely on for comfort and enjoyment and emotional support. So yeah, it was a conscious decision on my part to make my food boring on purpose. It
Right.
wasn't about trying to find as many weird and wonderful recipes as I could find for cooking potatoes in a million different ways. It was about embracing simplicity and embracing the boredom of food, because that taught me to get that comfort, enjoyment, emotional support in more healthy ways from other areas of life. And and yeah, it's really important, I think, that we focus on, rather than trying to find the most interesting and delicious foods to eat, try to find the most interesting and delicious ways to live our life. You
Mhm.
know, rather than trying to enjoy each isolated part of life, let's just try and focus on enjoying the overall experience of life. And for me and for lots of other people, if you sacrifice enjoyment of one small part of life, like food, you sacrifice the enjoyment there, then you get exponential growth in enjoyment of other parts of life. So, if we can learn to see life as a total one experience, rather than a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, it's all happening as one
Oh, for
uh,
sure.
one sort of, it's one experience. It's all one experience. So let's focus on enjoying life rather than enjoying food.
Definitely. Oh, another question I have is I know potatoes, they have a misconception, that it'll raise your blood sugar, but I'm sure many people have reversed their diabetes, following your plan.
Yeah, yeah. My favorite example of that is that I was working with a guy who had been type 2 diabetic for over 30 years. He'd
Wow.
followed all of his doctor's orders. He had, taken all his medication as prescribed, and he had tried everything. He said he tried everything. He tried many different diets, and he was never able to get off his medication. And he did a Spud Fit challenge and ate only potatoes for a couple of, well, I don't, he ate it for a while, but within 2 weeks he was off his diabetes medication. He didn't need it
Wow.
anymore.
That's amazing.
The reason that is that diabetes is caused by fat blocking insulin receptors. That's how it works. So when blood sugar enters your bloodstream, when sugar enters your bloodstream, becomes blood sugar, the next step is for it to then enter cells and be the fuel for all the cells in your body. And the way it gets into the cells is there's basically, to put it in really simple terms, there's a door into your cell, and the door is opened by insulin. And the
Mhm.
insulin attaches to an insulin receptor, and that opens the door and allows the sugar into your cells. And when the sugar goes into your cells, that means it's out of your bloodstream, and the blood sugar reading comes down quite quickly. So that blood sugar is not an issue, and you're not diabetic. If your blood sugar can go up after a meal and then come down pretty quickly, that means that the sugar is getting into the cells and everything's healthy. Now, if you've got a fatty diet and there's fat in your bloodstream, then what happens is the fat molecules bind to the insulin receptors. And when the fat is bound to the insulin receptors, that means that the insulin can't get to the insulin
Yep.
receptors and open up the doorway for the sugar to get in. So that's when it becomes a problem, and that's when you've got insulin resistance and further down the track diabetes. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
it's not actually the potatoes themselves that cure that problem. It's getting rid of the fat from the
right,
diet that
right.
fixes that problem. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I want to do this challenge for a month is because I tend to overdo it with like nut butters, like almond butter, and
Yeah.
even unsaturated fat. I know this can raise blood sugar. I mean,
Yeah,
not
yeah. As far
extreme,
as
but
yeah,
saturated fat especially. But I just want to try it just to see how my body feels. But
yeah, I think you'll have an interesting experience, and yeah, any kind of higher fat foods are going to have a problem. You know, especially if you're eating them at the same time as higher carbohydrate foods, then yeah, that'll cause those blood sugar issues. But yeah, it's yeah, saturated fat is going to be the worst of them, but none of them are good. Olive oil's no good as well, and yeah, just better to avoid those highly processed foods and yeah, the high fat foods. If you've got blood sugar issues, then you know it
I
sounds
don't.
strange
But I
to a lot
just
of
want
people.
to avoid that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I had another question. I left my head now.
that's all right. That's all right. So you're a runner, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I,
I
I
think
I was
during this
planning
month.
a half
Sorry.
marathon this June. Of course, it was canceled with COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
And, but I still run daily, and I gotta increase my running though. So I've
Yeah,
been
well, I think during this month you're going to find some amazing things happen with your running because you know the blood flow is going to be smooth and it's going to be you're going to have high flow arteries and veins where your blood just moves through it and your elasticity of your artery walls is going to be great and you know that's going to mean that your oxygen delivery to your muscles is going to be better than you're used to and yeah, basically you get more bang for your buck with every heartbeat and every breath gives you an extra little boost. And
so I
yeah,
can't wait to find out.
I
Yeah.
think you'll see. Yeah, I think you'll see improvements in your running over the course of the month too. So that'll be an exciting thing.
Now, what is your diet now? Do you do the potato diet once in a while to go back to that, or do you eat pretty much a plant-based diet now? Or
Yeah, I eat what I call a whole food potato based diet. So I eat lots of yeah whole unprocessed plant foods, but also a lot of potatoes. I focus on potatoes, but I eat lots of greens and lots of fruits as well, and beans and rice and all
right.
those sorts of things. And yeah, potatoes are still my best friend, but yeah, I eat other things as well. And actually, just this month in June, while you're doing your potato only challenge, I'm doing a new thing with which I'm trying to get a few people on board with as well, which I'm calling the Eat and Repeat experiment. And basically, it's really about sort of eating potatoes only is the ultimate simplicity
Hmm.
as far as diet goes, the ultimate in minimalism. But we're not going quite that far. What we're doing is we're deciding on one breakfast meal, one lunch meal, and one dinner meal, and one snack, and then just eating the same thing every day for all of June. So
Ah,
that'll be an
interesting.
interesting
Yeah.
thing. I'm hoping that some people will get on board and some people like because a lot of people don't want to do only potatoes, but they do like the idea of simplicity and minimalism in food. So this is a different way to approach that and
Well,
bring
this
some
is a
extra
good time too
to
because
it.
with COVID, at least in America, they're having trouble finding certain foods.
Yeah,
I think that simplicity would work, especially during
yeah,
this
yeah.
time.
I'm hoping that lots of people will get on board and hopefully learn a lot about themselves and about their relationship with food and without having to go as hardcore as I did with only potatoes. I hope that'll help some people. So we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, I'll promote on my Facebook page, and they can find the information on your website, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's only a sort of a decision we made yesterday. So today we're working on getting a web page up on our site, and yeah, we'll
Okay.
see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll take off. I mean, it's needed.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
One last question I have is, how is everybody coping there with COVID-19? Do you think the cases are coming down?
Yeah, yeah. The response has actually been really good here, and we have very few cases here now.
That's
Uh,
good. To hear.
so yeah, my son's actually gone back to school this week, and yeah, things are slowly starting to open up. So yeah, it's not anywhere near as bad as it is in the US. We've only we haven't had many deaths at all, and we've not had many cases. So yeah, we locked down early, and we our country took drastic action very early on and didn't wait for things to get out of control. So yeah, as a result, we're opening up now.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
starting to open up things here, but it's a slow process.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we haven't had anywhere near the sort of severity of cases as has happened in the US. So, yeah, I think the risks for us in opening up is far lower than the risks in the US. So,
Great. Yeah,
yeah, we've done pretty well, I think.
yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question I had is kind of important. When you were doing the challenge, you did a variety of different potatoes, or because I was thinking of adding sweet potatoes and other kind of.
Yeah, I had sweet potatoes as well.
Okay.
Most of what I ate was just normal white potatoes.
Hmm.
But and yeah, I just go for whatever's cheapest. Really, it's not like
Oh, right.
there's a specific type of potato you need to eat, or as one that's better or worse than any other ones. It's just whatever's cheapest,
Whatever you
and
can find
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, and just I included sweet potatoes as well. Most of it was plain white potatoes, but yeah, I did eat some sweet potatoes too.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could touch base in a month. I'll let you know how things went. You know,
Yeah, that'd be great.
last week.
I'd love to hear about how things go for you, and yeah, feel free to keep in touch during as well. And I'm here to answer questions.
Yeah, great. And if you want to share everybody with everybody your website, how they can find you.
Yeah, it's just spudfit.com. You can email me, andrew@spudfit.com, or I'm spudfit on all the social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just look up spudfit, you'll find me.
Yeah, and try your new challenge too. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Yeah, I've not done anything like this before, so but yeah, I think a lot of people will find it helpful. So yeah, get on board.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you, and good luck to you. I think it's going to be an awesome month, and yeah, I
I'm
think
looking forward to
it'll
it.
it'll challenge you, and it'll be hard, and you'll hate it for parts of it, but you'll be
Well,
glad
that's
that
why I
you
like
did
doing it, because it's another challenge. 'Cause I do like
exactly.
challenges. Yeah,
You got to get out of the comfort zone. That's the only way to make progress. So yeah, good on
exactly.
you.
Exactly. Okay, nice talking to you.
All right, thank you, and spud up and enjoy the month.
Yeah, you too.